Hey everyone, Dankman here. So let's continue our notes from last time. Today is Thursday, that's February 27, and we're going to start with a discussion, of place value continued. Okay? So if you remember and look over our notes from last time, okay, you can see that when we write numbers, each digit, the 8 digit here, has a value of 8 ones. The 2 digit has a value of 2 tens. The 4 digit has a value of 4 100s. So every digit or place in a number has a place value, the 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. And so we're going to use that to help us with some interesting multiplication problems. Okay, so let's take the example of multiplying the number 4 times the number 50. Now, 4 times 50 seems like a really big number that I'm not sure quite how to handle. But since I know how place value works, I know that the number 50 is the number 5 times 10. So I can split 50 up into 5 times 10 and do 4 times 5 times 10. So I'm really turning 4 times 50 into a new multiplication problem. They're still equal to each other, but they look different. And the reason I do that is because I know my 4 times 5 is 20 times 10, and now it becomes clear why I did that, because multiplying by tens is easy to do in our head. That's where we just move the decimal, in this case, adding a 0. So this is kind of a way, mentally, to break numbers up when you do multiplication, and you have numbers that are multiples of 10. Here's another example. I could do 7 times 200 in my head, because what I'm thinking is I can do 7 times 2 and then times 100, since I can break the number 200 up into 2 times 100. 7 times 2 I can do in my head, which is 14, and 14 times 100, we just move the decimal 2 places, and that gives me 1,400. Next, we're going to flip our papers over to continue the discussion. Now we're going to continue with some new notes here. So continuing on Thursday, February 27th, we're going to write down some notes about rounding. And rounding has everything to do with place value. It's also really useful for just estimating things, making problems easier. So let's round the number 73 to the nearest 10. Okay, so the tens place is shown right there. The 7 is holding the tens place in this number. Okay, and the nearest 10, the nearest multiple of 10, is 70. So that's the answer. If you round the number 73 to the nearest 10, or the nearest multiple of 10, you get 70. If I made it slightly different and I said round the number 75 to the nearest 10, then all of a sudden 75 is a little bit closer to 80 than it is to 70. Okay? So when you are below the 5 mark or the halfway mark, you round down to the nearest 10. When you're at or above the 5 mark, you round up. I'll explain that briefly. See, you've got the digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay? If you split those nicely in half, there are 5 digits on the low end, 0 through 4, and 5 digits on the high end, 5 through 9. So with the 3 is part of the low end, we round down. With the 5 is right here on the high end, we round up. Let's try another problem. Okay, this problem is to round the number 416 to the nearest 100, the nearest multiple of 100. The nearest multiple of 100 is 400, because 16 brings this number closer down to 400 than up to 500. Okay? And one more to try. I'm going to take the number 5,328 and I'm going to round it to the nearest 100. okay? That nearest hundreds place, that nearest multiple of 100 is right in here. Okay? So I'm going to round the number 5,328 down to the nearest whole hundred, which is 5,300. Okay? 300s place is the closest hundreds place. And that's a summary of how to round to the nearest 10 or 100. And it's going to be similar for any other nearest multiple of 10, like the nearest 1,000 or the nearest 10,000.